This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. India has begun selling oil from its Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, to state-run refiners as it implements a new policy to commercialize its federal storage by leasing out space, three sources familiar with the matter said. Reuters reported last month that India had changed its policy to allow the Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited, ISPRL, which manages the federal oil inventories, to lease 30% of its overall 37 million barrels capacity to Indian and foreign companies. Last year, the ISPRL filled the SPRs with cheap oil and it needs to sell some of that to make way for leasing.
Oil prices dipped slightly on Wednesday after 4 straight days of declines, as investors remain worried about the outlook for fuel demand as COVID-19 cases surge worldwide and on rising strength in the US dollar. Brent crude was down 25 cents to $68.77 a barrel by 11:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 15:47 GMT. US WTI crude oil lost 41 cents to $66.17 a barrel. The US dollar index was up 0.1%, hitting its highest level since April. Crude prices often move inversely to the dollar because the commodity is priced in dollars. When the U.S. currency rallies, it makes oil more expensive for foreign buyers.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
U.S. crude oil stockpiles dropped last week to their lowest levels since January 2020, the Energy Information Administration said on Wednesday. Inventories have been declining for several months as U.S. fuel demand has rebounded with Americans getting vaccinated against coronavirus. Infections, however, are surging again and analysts are watching to see if fuel demand slackens, particularly across southern states where the number of people infected has surged. Crude inventories fell by 3.2 million barrels in the week to August 13 to 435.5 million barrels, exceeding estimates for a 1.1 million barrel drop. Crude exports rose in the most recent week to 3.4 million barrels per day.
China's diesel exports in July plunged 41% from a month ago as refiners neared the end of the first batch of 2021 refined fuel export quotas, while a drop-off in domestic fuel supplies encouraged refiners to prioritize local demand. Diesel shipments were 1.39 million tons last month, hitting the lowest level since September 2020, data from the General Administration of Customs showed on Wednesday. That was down from 2.36 million tons in June but still well above 550,000 tons in July last year. Gasoline exports in July also plunged 49% from a month earlier to only 740,000 tons, the lowest point in 14 months. Jet kerosene exports were 660,000 tons in July.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
China is facing a high-profile test of its commitment to curbing industrial pollution after steel output surged in the first half of the year to well beyond its target of capping production at 2020's peak, sending emissions to new highs. The country pledged to limit crude steel output this year at no higher than the 1.065 billion tons it made in 2020. To meet that goal, steel producers would have to cut output by roughly 10% for the rest of 2021 from their record first-half pace, according to Reuters calculations based on National Bureau of Statistics data. Yet with steel prices already near record highs amid a stimulus-led building and manufacturing boom, any forced supply cuts could fuel further raw material inflation which has sent Chinese producer prices to multi-year highs and forced a slowdown in factory activity.
Kazakhstan's state railway company has temporarily stopped accepting cargo shipments to China through its main Dostik hub for exports of grain and metals, the Margin.kz agricultural news website said on Wednesday. It quoted the firm as saying that tougher COVID-19 curbs on the Chinese side sparked the move, as the neighboring nation had halved the number of trains it let through and was prioritizing container shipments. The company could not be immediately reached for comment. Kazakhstan exports wheat, oilseeds, copper and alumina to China mostly through Dostik, which suffered similar disruptions late last year. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. India has allocated 110 billion rupees, $1.48 billion, to boost domestic palm oil production to 2.8 million tons by 2029-30, Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said on Wednesday. The government will support small farmers to expand areas under oil palm cultivation to 1 million hectare from the current 350,000 hectares, he said.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.